All right.
Bum, 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 bum.
What's up, Mr. Rob Gaudette?
Dude,
thanks for joining us.
Oh, be quiet. Can I just be the first one, maybe today, or at least in the 8 o'clock hour, to comment on how stylish and fresh that hairstyle of yours looks now?
Yeah, it's been 2 years since I got a real haircut. Big thanks to my wife, who was taming what I had to work with. And shout outs to Sarah for always threatening to cut off my hair when it was like down to here. Pretty fun. It is nice to not have to tie my hair up in like a weird ponytail after a shower. It's funny.
Well, you actually you know, if I can, you look a little bit younger. You also don't look as sketchy. And you know, you could have done a before and after and said, this is what happens before you go into rehab, this is what happens after. So John, I think
I thought it was like the Spider-Man 3 look with the hair down and he's like slightly
no, you look like if they remade The Crow, but like on a like for Shudder, where it was like
a super budget crow, like a YouTube series called The Crow.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Hey everybody, how are you? Thanks for tuning in to the Heroes World Sidekick Show. The guy on my well, I guess on the screen it's to my right, but he's on my left. We're in the same room actually. Is my good friend John Ho.
What's up, Mr. Gaudette?
Not much, buddy. Not much. I bought myself a new mug.
Yeah, a shaker mug.
A new shaker mug
for your creatine and your proteins.
For my creatines, yeah. There's a lot going on today, John. And I think we should get into it. But first of all, let's just do a quick rundown of. We had a lot that we recorded for the Heroes World podcast. First, we did a review of Hawkeye episodes 1 and 2. John, Stu, myself did a watch. We reviewed it. We're actually going to talk about Hawkeye in today's news. And then we also did a review of the all 5 episodes of the second half of the He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelation season. So I guess like 1B.
You got to stop yourself from saying the S, don't you?
Well, and I also have to stop myself from saying He-Man because it's not He-Man. It's called Masters of the Universe Revelation. And we juxtapose that with the new Mark Millar World show Super Crooks, which is on Netflix. So you're definitely going to want to tune into that because that was a whole lot of crazy. In my opinion, but I know that some people enjoyed it. I saw some of the comments on YouTube and some people enjoyed it. So I'm very happy for them.
As an anime, the studio behind it is a solid studio. We maybe were just not in the mood for it, or maybe we were expecting something different, or maybe we're just tired of Mark Millar's influence in bringing our love of comics to the mainstream and having to tell people, yes, these are the comics we read. The Boys and all this kind of stuff is stuff we read in comic form. So it's a little it makes the hobby look a little shady, but the show is doing very well. So I guess take
Super Crooks is
no The Boys.
Oh,
Super Crooks, I don't know.
Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah. He didn't. Is that a Mark Millar production?
No, he's not. You're right.
No, you're talking about no.
Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah, I was like,
Legacy
what?
is a completely different story.
The preceding 2.5 minutes was of complete incorrect information by John Ho, and do not reflect the opinions or thoughts.
It's in a similar vein. Mark Millar stuff.
Not really.
His Boys. Yeah.
Nope.
Well, okay. So Mark Millar likes to go to the same well of dirty jokes, I think.
What's the name of that company, that video game company that used to take really popular games and then make they ported them over, like they made homages for the mobile. Like they would take like really popular games and then make like a mobile version, but it was like an homage, but it wasn't. quite the same. I'm sure people in the chat would
I don't know.
would know. Anyways, I guess the joke doesn't get knocked out of the park if I can't remember the name of the company, but that is very much the same as what Mark Millar does. He takes these really popular IP and he just puts a different, sort of paint and stencils on it and calls it something different, and off he goes. So, but that's my opinion. So you definitely want to check out the Heroes World podcast to check out those reviews, those discussions. Again, thanks to those who have shared it. Thanks to those who have commented on it, whether it's on the YouTube page or on the Facebook page. We appreciate it. We've got a lot going on tonight. Let me just, well, we do, because before we get into the stuff that's in the store, I just want to say, listen, to those who are watching and those who may be listening, whether you're live or later on down the road, if you're out walking your dog and you listen to this on a Thursday morning, I need you to understand something. Listen to me. Listen to Uncle Bobby here. John Ho likes to pretend that he is not a fan of these movies, and yet he has gone on record saying these are his favorite Spider-Man portrayals.
Yeah, so, get out of town.
We're gonna see how well he can
out of time.
He can keep this facade of his going. But yes, we are reviewing the Amazing Spider-Man movies 1 and 2 with Andrew Garfield. We've got a rundown of all the stats. We got some news. But John, let us know, dude, what is coming up into the store this week?
Yeah, so again, if you're not following us on the Instagram and Facebook, we post the new comic releases there every week on Mondays. So we've got a whole bunch of new titles coming out. So the new Venom #2 by who's writing this book again? Ali Wing, the previous team that used to do the Immortal Hulk. They've switched books, so he is going to be on Venom, and Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley have moved over to Hulk. So we got the issue 2 coming out this week, as well as Batman's Fear State Omega issue. So the ending of their whole Fear State crossover, which has been pretty cool, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So please do check out those new releases listed there every week, and let us know if you need any of those books saved or pulled, or if you're curious to find out more about them. So I will throw out some more stuff. Rob, do you want to look at some more random expensive crap with me, or
yes, I do, John.
Yeah, okay.
Because you know what it is? Because it makes me. I go after the show. I walk the dog, and then I sit there and I get home and I'm like, man, I wish. And I look at all the stuff of that I could sell off to, or of my wife's. Somehow, can I get this stuff and hide it in the house? Is really what I'm trying to.
That's a dangerous game, my friend.
Yes.
I don't endorse that, but if you need an accomplice to help do such things, I can hook you up. Anyways, I just wanted to show you 2 quick things, Rob, and everybody in the chat. So you guys let me know what you think of these things, and maybe I'll decide if I want to order them or not. So we're delving into the sideshow / Hot Toys / Prime One Studios type stuff, because a lot of it is typically movie or pop culture related, and I figure we do a lot of that on this show, so it makes sense to combine that. So let's show off some stuff here. Rob, I know this was your favorite movie of 2021. Let There Be Carnage. So this is a brand new Hot Toys figure. They are doing the new figure on the left here, which is the Carnage.
But why does he have a black face?
I don't know. Maybe a different angle. No, he still got it there. He maybe got burned. No, Carnage typically has darker black lines on, or black artwork or whatever framing on his face. So these are 1/6 scale figures from a company called Hot Toys, based out in Hong Kong, if you're not familiar with them. Highly posable, come with lots of accessories. So this is the new Carnage. He is up on pre-order right now. He's going to cost you about $600 Canadian. Again, rough quotes, rough estimates to when these come out, folks. If you want more information, hit me up and I'll iron out the details for you. So here's the comparison between the Venom that they released or is releasing. So we're actually getting him anytime now. He's going to be humongous. And he does come with a bunch of accessories. And one accessory you'll notice there, Rob, is a Venom head and bust.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is, I don't know if this is clever bonus or it's a fear of missing out, or just how they get you in buying multiples of these, but that is a head that you can put on your Venom figure.
That's
so
cool.
If you bought this other Venom, you can now take this head that is Tom Hardy, half Venom off. You can put that on your other Venom, and you can put his old heads back onto this bust for display. So, or I guess you could buy the Carnage and sell this piece off. I don't know. There's multiple things you could do with it. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I figure it's a nice bonus if you're going to get this set, which I feel like people are going to do. So if you guys like Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage, hit me up. The Carnage not gonna be out for a while, but the Venom is dropping anytime now, and I've got at least one pre-order slot open. So if someone doesn't want to jump on the Venom, let me know. And I'm going to show you one more thing. Let me see here. No, so that's the Venom that I'm talking about here. So multiple heads, multiple hands, really nice pieces. Posable. The Venom's going to cost you around $500. So $100.
Now, how much for the Gene Simmons tongue? That's
extra. No charge.
Okay, cool.
No charge, and it looks like either it's posable or you have variations at it coming at you in different angles.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess Scott's not a fan of Venom.
Attaboy,
loves
Scott.
Venom for some reason.
Nope. Yeah, no.
Jesse says it's a pretty good Tom Hardy sculpt, and I think he's right.
Yep. No, it did look good, but
yeah, how they're going to get you later is if you notice this Venom here doesn't have a Tom Hardy head.
Right.
So either they're going to do another Venom, or the only Tom Hardy head you're going to be able to get is that half sculpt from that Carnage figure. So that's kind of cool. Shout outs to Turd in the Wind from Fraser. Thank you, Fraser. So one more statue I'm going to show you, Rob, maybe a little bit more up your alley. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in the wedding dress from the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
James Gunn. And that is not a picture of Margot Robbie. That is a picture of this item, supposedly. And the dress is going to be made out of real cloth to get as close
so it's like
to the
mixed
movie
media.
look. Yeah. So
Okay.
This is, what is this? This is a Prime 1 piece. So this one is going to cost you around $2,000 Canadian. So, a couple car payments later and you have yourself a very nice Harley Quinn. But what do you think of this face sculpt? I think this particular angle doesn't quite look like what I think she looks like.
So I was going to say, like, the original, like, first of all, I think the face sculpt is just fabulous looking. But that said, I don't think it looks like Margot Robbie. Like, I feel like it's just a little bit off. Like, I think it's a gorgeous face sculpt, but I don't know if it's necessarily an exact replica of what Margot looks like. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
It would be like her sister. Right?
Maybe they just can't quite capture her beautiful face in a sculpture form, but it looks pretty crazy.
But I do like the actual sculpt. Yeah,
like it actually looks like a person. Like if you showed me that just a little crop of the face, and you said, "Hey, this is this girl I met," I'd be like, "Whoa!" And then you'd be like, "Oh, that's the statue I just bought." But whatever floats your boat. Yeah. So a lot of people are saying it doesn't quite look like her. Which is fair enough. Sometimes these sculpts get changed. Sometimes down the road, if people complain or people are like, "Oh yeah, no, not even close," they'll retune it, and you'll see a version 2.0 where they say we've upgraded, yada yada. So we'll see what happens.
I feel like that happened with the Wonder Woman sculpt from the original Justice League run. I feel like there was a lot of outcry over that. Was it Sideshow over the face sculpt of Gal Gadot, and they ended up having to like redo it before production.
I think so. Yeah. I think they either repainted it or resculpted it.
Yeah.
And in some cases they have released different heads. I think for one of the Tony Stark Iron Mans, they actually issued some type of head replacement program where something was wrong with the style of it, and they were like, "Oh, send it back. We're going to swap it up." But anyways, those are looking to expensive ass statues, but cool stuff that I can hook you up with if you really want to do that. And we also have hosts of other cool stuff at the shop. The black and white Batman statues I mentioned last week have arrived, and they are in store, and they're much more on the affordable kind of Christmas gift side. So if you're looking for something, hit me up. And we've got the Todd McFarlane Batman black and white statue and the Jim Lee version 3 Batman black and white statue, and tons of other things. We're getting new stuff in the door all the time. So if you're looking for something, keep an eye on our Instagram and Facebook, and we're posting there as much as we can.
Well, listen, I think we first of all, that's awesome, John. I think what we need to really hammer down the point is that the store is stacked with stuff and stocked with stuff for the holiday shopping. Let me put it into context, because a lot of guys like me, sometimes we always say, "Hey, we're going to do the early shopping," and then we kind of wait to the last minute. After tonight, John, we only have 3 more shows before Christmas. So if you consider it in that way, we only really have, we have 25 days until the big guy arrives and drops presents. If you've been good. So yeah, if you are kind of delaying and not, go out and get your stuff now, because again, we got 3 more shows before Christmas. So think of it that way. There's not a lot of time. Time will fly by like a fart in the wind, my friend.
It's going to be crazy. Andre's mentioned it a couple of times during his appearances that some people are coming in and just looking at stuff and going, "Yeah, I'm going to come back later." And I hope you can find what you need if you're waiting for later. But some stuff is going to be gone. Like if you take a picture and send it to your friend now, and they come a month later, they might not be able to find that thing. So definitely start preparing. And we are looking forward to being on deck for Christmas. Last year, Christmas was canceled for us. So it was a little crazy. We were locked down and not in effect. So it's going to be fun to see everybody during the holidays, wrap some presents for people, and do all that. So I hope everyone's going to have a great holiday. But yeah, Rob, I can't believe it. 3 weeks left. Where's the time go?
I don't know, man. I don't know, buddy. I have no idea. I know. Like it's gone. Like Kaiser Soze. All right. I got some news.
he was just on the no, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Try to finish that. Go on. Then what do you got? What do you got?
No,
percolating in the brain.
I was thinking what's the El Capo, the drug lord guy? I just watched that Morgan Freeman documentary, and he's talking about these prison escape artists or whatever, and
El
about
Chapo.
how this guy El Chapo. He escaped like 3 times. I thought I mixed the names up, and I was like, oh yeah, nice reference, and I got it. And I didn't get it.
No, Kaiser Soze from The Usual Suspects.
Oh, okay, yeah. Usual Suspects on my to watch list.
Speaking of one of the best, a very great movie. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's been tainted because of Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer, but I digress. Speaking of El Chapo, I actually just finished watching Narcos season 3. Narcos Mexico, season 3. So that's the finale of Narcos. They're no longer making any. If you haven't actually seen Narcos, the first 2 seasons are fantastic. So I definitely recommend.
And then stop after the first 2?
Well, no. I mean, it's kind of like a not revisionist history. It's a dramatic retelling of history, right? With Pablo Escobar was the first 2 seasons, and then they did they do a bunch of the Mexican drug kingpins for seasons 4, 5, 6, which it's called Narcos Mexico season 1, 2, and 3. So. But Narcos itself is 2 seasons, and it's all about Pablo Escobar and his rise and eventual downfall. And it's pretty cool because they actually intersperse real actual footage with the show. So it's a lot of fun.
So you are learning some true facts.
Yes, I am. Speaking of true facts, true believers, I got some news here for you. And you ready to roll into it, John?
Yeah. You go. Look at after you take your protein shake.
All right, it's the only thing that stops me from eating
your pre-workout.
Yeah, no. The 5 knuckle chuckle will happen later. Okay, big news today. We don't have like a lot of various news items, but just a few things I wanted to talk about. John, today, November 29th, Spider-Man No Way Home ticket sale day. So tickets went on sale at midnight early this morning. All across North America, except for one company we'll talk about in a second. And the influx of individuals ended up crashing a number of theater chain websites in the U.S. There were some issues, but people were getting their tickets. I know that I go to the local Landmark Cinemas, which is a chain that's from the West that has been making slowly its way out east here. I personally love going to their stuff, but I picked up my tickets. John, have you gotten your tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home? And those in the chat, let me know if you were able to grab some of your tickets.
I have not. I'm gonna wait a second because I don't know what my exact schedule. It's Christmas time. It's crazy time. So I do want to see this movie. I don't know if your next story is paying $25,000 for a ticket, but I'm definitely not paying that.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, right? You see those on eBay this evening. Yeah, people paying stupid prices.
No one's actually doing that. I find that hard to believe. I have checked some of the listings in Canada. I think it depends. It's very dependent on your area, how many theaters are running it, what time show you want to go to. If you want to go during one of those popular times, like a Friday night at 8 or something, like Saturday at 6. Yeah, those are probably gone if you didn't jump early, but sometimes theaters open up extra shows. So what they do is they fill up all the shows that they list at first, and then you'll see maybe a week or a couple days before the show comes out, they'll throw in a couple other showings. So I very rarely ever want to see a movie and it has been completely sold out that you had no choice to see it. I'm trying to think of the last movie that had this much buzz, and I'm thinking maybe it was Batman and Superman. Maybe I think that was the last one that was like, oh, it's all sold out. You can't. You better buy your tickets early, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I got my tickets for the Saturday morning. The I guess that's the 19th, the 18th. Is it the 18th? Yeah.
So Saturday matinee. That's probably a popular time as well now, right?
Well, yeah, a lot of the shows. So I was looking for the Thursday evening, and it was sold out. And I was looking for Friday, and I was like, we might have company over Friday evening. And I was like, that's not going to work. So we did. My son and I
cancel the company.
Yeah. Well, I was like, they haven't responded yet. Do you think I should get tickets? But we're gonna go Saturday morning. Now, interestingly enough, most of if you are not fortunate like myself and some other people in chat, if you didn't have an opportunity to get them through Landmark, you were probably waking up this morning feverishly wondering what the hell is going on with the Cineplex website, the biggest theater chain in Canada. Seem to, I don't know if they smoked a bong. I don't know if they maybe during the pandemic they weren't able to hire their staff back. I don't know if the CEO has his head up his own fucking ass. However, there was a lot of people that were quite upset because there were no tickets. There was no announcement of tickets. Look, let's not forget, John, 2 weeks ago, they had a great big giant teaser or trailer announcement release where they said tickets will go on sale on the 29th. And everybody was tweeting it out and everybody knew about it. Cineplex last night were telling people, hey, what's going on with Spider-Man tickets? And they were like, we don't have a date and time of when it's going to be announced. Because everybody else does. But Cineplex didn't. And this morning, people at Cineplex were trying to figure out on Twitter, what's going on, Cineplex? You're my movie theater chain. Why am I not able to get tickets? Why is my app not working? And they came out and said, congratulations, you'll be able to pick up tickets at noon Eastern, 12 hours after everybody else. So listen, is it that big of a deal? Maybe not. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Cineplex, I highly doubt you would ever have any interest in supporting this channel or sponsoring it. But you all done screwed yourselves over pretty bad. You made one hell of a stupid PR move. You look like a bunch of amateur asshats. And I just wanted to get that off my chest. Not that I subscribe to Cineplex. I like my buddies at Landmark. And you are more than welcome to subscribe and sponsor this channel if you'd like. But Cineplex, I think you made a really big error. And sure, you're going to sell your tickets. But man, you guys look like dummies. That's all I wanted to say about that, John.
That was Rob's rant for the episode.
I do want to move on though. Speaking of Spider-Man, Amy Pascal, who is the producer of these Spider movies, she was a former head of Sony Pictures, told Fandango today or earlier. I guess it was late last night. That they being Sony, are doing a new trilogy of Spider-Man movies following this one with Tom Holland. This obviously was burning up the internet, kind of in sync with people who were upset that they couldn't get their tickets. And we're trying to figure out, what does this all mean? Why, is this, what's happening? Sony came out a little bit later this afternoon and said, well, we don't have anything firm. We look forward to future projects, to try to downplay. However, I think it's, they're obviously trying to,
that's a nice easy way of easing the problems in the bedroom as well.
Yeah.
Really firm, but
we'll just wait around a little bit and see how it goes. So, listen, will it come to fruition? Is it Amy Pascal hoping that she can still hold on to some type of box office glory or right off into that sunset? Who the hell knows? But from all accounts, it, has Sony re-upped their contract with Marvel to make 3 additional movies? John, what do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Short answer, yeah. There's money to be made, and a couple of people in the comments mentioned, Tom Holland said he was maybe done or saying all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But with ticket, we've already seen the ticket sales blowing up the movie theater websites and stuff like that. So this is the juggernaut, and there's money to be made. And why would you not keep the money train rolling while it's good?
Yeah, no, I agree. And yes, Steve put in there. Didn't Tom Holland say he'd be sad if he was playing Parker after past his 30s? He did say that earlier this year. He said he hopes to make another 100 movies as Peter Parker. I think the reality is Tom Holland has the good genes right now to still look relatively young. If he's in his 20s playing the late teen, he can pull it off for a couple more years, depending on how quickly they hammer these movies out.
Yeah. AKA, he'll be sad sitting on a pile of money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What am I going to do with my $100 million?
Let me light my cigars. Do we have any of the thousands left? Oh, no, I'll move on to one of the bigger bills.
What do you mean there's no heat? Let's just burn that pile of money. Opening a week after Spider-Man No Way Home, John, is The Matrix Resurrections return to form. The OG Matrix from 1999, John, is coming back to theaters in IMAX. The original Matrix is hitting. It has never been released in IMAX. It is coming back to IMAX. We are all excited. Oh, no, we're not excited, John, because it's only coming to IMAX in the U.S. We here in Canada are unable to partake in the glory of the IMAX version of The Matrix. Oh, John, I don't know. But, listen, congratulations to our friends to the South. Maybe Scott will have an opportunity. I believe it's going to be December the 7th and the 8th will be released in IMAX. But, John, let's do wishful. If it was released here in IMAX, would you be going to check it out?
I think so, yeah. Matrix is one of those movies that's so iconic. I did actually see it in the theater when it first came around, and I remember me and my friends standing out in the parking lot of Silver City, Richmond Hill, going, what the hell did we just watch? Not realizing how big this, when you watch it and you're like, oh, I think I liked it. I'm not sure if I liked it. What the hell did we just watch? This is crazy. And then it becomes like this thing that is almost a way of life to some people. So IMAX did it. So it never aired in IMAX, I assume, originally, Rob, is
nope.
To my understanding. Yeah. So a while back, I did see Terminator 2 when they did the re-release in theaters, and then they added the 3D. I had never seen it in theaters before, so I was really happy to have that experience. But yeah, Matrix for sure. I think I would go back and watch it again. And who knows, maybe they sometimes just fail to announce Canada in their listings or their comeback tour or whatever the hell it is. So we might actually be getting it, but they just don't care enough to include it in the news.
Well, I actually checked the website today, and there is no, and it kept saying there are no theaters within 50 miles of your location. And I was trying Toronto and everywhere else. So maybe, IMAX, I think it was Lewis said, wait, IMAX is a Canadian company. Yep. But we don't, obviously they have no connection on that division, I suppose. So I would love to go see it. There are a few movies I would, no more ketchup chips for you. There are a few movies that I would revisit that I own that I would revisit in the theaters again. And that is definitely one of them. I did T2 like you did. I would totally see The Matrix. I know our friend Andre's on here. What up, Trey? And he said he would want to see it in IMAX as well. So I totally would. Now, the second question then, John, was would you watch the new one in IMAX, or do you think you're just going to go regular screen?
I think I'm going to have to see it on the nicest screen possible. I have watched the movies recently on subpar screens, and some movies it's okay for, your comedies or your movies that, your Hitman's Bodyguard or whatever kind of movie you're just going to see for more of the experience and going to. I saw the first one. I still haven't seen the second one. So if anyone thinks the second one was good, shout out. No, but you go for the experience. You go with a couple friends, and you have a good time. So sometimes it doesn't matter what it looks like up on the screen. But I did recently see Dune in the very nice IMAX screen in Markham VIP. I think it's called, and it did look incredible. So I definitely want to see that again. And Shang-Chi, when I fired it up at home, it looked hella better than when I saw it in the theaters, because I guess the screen I saw it on wasn't as nice, so it didn't look quite as crisp. And it was hard to see some of the stuff going on. So I think for something like The Matrix, having seen, you saw the entire trilogy in the theater, right, Rob? Probably. Yeah. So you got to go 4 for 4. Big screen. I guess none of the originals were in IMAX, or IMAX didn't exist at that time.
I think the third one might have been released in IMAX, but I don't know if I'll see the new one in IMAX. But I'm definitely listen. I told my wife I'm going out to the theater to see that. It's within 2 days of me flying out of here, so I do my best to get out there and see it. The last thing I want to talk about, John. First of all, just for those wondering, our friend Scott Graziano, our American friend, who we wished a happy Thanksgiving last year, he did a yeoman's work by watching Dune, the Denis Villeneuve movie. He was a giant fan, and Scott, I'm proud to let you know that this Friday you can actually purchase Dune digitally. So congrats, buddy. It's all coming up Millhouse for you. Okay, but last I want to just talk about Hawkeye. Like I said at the top of the show, we reviewed Hawkeye episodes 1 and 2. John, as according to Samba TV, who do I guess aggregates of online viewership, Hawkeye's not doing too well. It only pulled in 1.4 million viewers between its premiere on Wednesday to Sunday. That's 1 million less viewers over the same Wednesday to Sunday period than Loki had this summer. To give some context, Falcon and Winter Soldier had 1.8 million viewers between that 4-day period, and WandaVision had 1.6. So obviously 2.4 for Loki, but down to 1.4. It's the lowest out of these 4. Surprise? Or do you think that people just maybe think, crap, who gives a crap about Hawkeye, but they actually don't know how good this show really is?
I think you're right. Actually, I was gonna say maybe it's bad timing. Christmas time, or not Christmas time, but getting there. Everyone's busy. So, and then maybe the fatigue of all the Marvel stuff. But I think you're right. I think Hawkeye has always been this character. When you watch the movie, or the Avengers movies, you're like, what's this guy shooting bows and arrows for? And he makes fun of himself in the movie. But he's probably, I don't think anyone's favorite character. We've never seen a prop replica of the Hawkeye bow. We've seen Captain America's shield, Thor's hammer, Iron Man's helmet, you name it, everyone except for Hawkeye. So maybe it was just too obscure a character. The series really fired for me because it's a street level character, but maybe that's exactly what people don't want to see. Maybe. They want to see Hulks. They want to see the big over the top stuff. So like for example, Shang-Chi, we talked about Shang-Chi. I like the street level stuff in the beginning, but I understood why they ramped it up towards the end, because that's what people expect from a Marvel movie. So yeah, we'll see. But maybe everyone will watch it on. You think maybe people will watch it when the series is done as a holiday diehard thing? Maybe.
I mean, Scott pointed out that he wondered if American Thanksgiving affected Hawkeye. Yeah, potentially could have, for sure. I mean, even if you had a lot of people all hanging out at somebody's house, maybe they all watch it as opposed to watching it individually. So we'll see if there's a bump in the next couple of weeks. But that is the news. I know that people are itching, John, to get into your favorite Spider-Man series. So unless we have anything else to go, I think it's time to get in to the Amazing Spider-Man. Okay. Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, let's go. Amazing
okay,
Spider-Man, aka the Forgotten Trilogy.
It's not a trilogy, John. It's not. It's a duology.
it felt like a trilogy. Why is the first movie over 2 hours? But anyways, Rob, do you have some specs or anything like that?
Yeah, buddy, I do. Okay, Amazing Spider-Man, directed by Mark Webb, who was tapped to direct the movie following his debut, 500 Days of Summer, starring a friend of the show, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Or as John likes to call him, Gordon Joseph Gary Sinise, starring Andrew Garfield in the title role. Also starred.
Love Gary Sinise, by the way.
Yeah, well, funny enough, it also starred Forrest Gump's mom as Aunt May. President Josiah Bartlett was Uncle Ben. Emma Stone took over the Gwen Stacy mantle, and Reese
from Ifans,
who? Well, Gwen Stacy was in Spider-Man 3, and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. Bryce Dallas Howard played Gwen Stacy.
Oh, okay.
We just watched it last week.
I know, but I think we're going to mention Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
We had agreed to strike that off the record last week.
No, well, Reese Ifans assumed the role of Dr. Kirk Connors, and unlike Spider-Man 2 and 3, this Kirk Connors actually did grow an extra arm and became the Lizard. Released July 3rd.
I refuse to call him Lizard, by the way. We'll get into it later, but yeah.
Released July 3rd, 2012. With a budget of $200 to $230 million, it grossed over $758 million worldwide. The film received mostly positive reviews when released, but was inevitably compared to the Raimi trilogy, which had only ended about 5 years prior. Rotten Tomatoes has the film certified fresh at 72% and 77% audience score. John, The Amazing Spider-Man, let's go. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, so I think I've only ever seen these movies once, and the reason is because they suck. I think there's a clear reason why the Spider-Man agreement, Sony,
Mhm.
whatever, Disney now or whatever agreement exists, and it's because this was like horrible. So I don't know. I shout out to Sarah and Gord. I think they watched it for maybe the first time and they really enjoyed it. But there are, don't get me wrong, there are parts to like. And Andre already mentioned it, that he did like Emma Stone's portrayal
Yeah.
as Gwen Stacy. I think Emma Stone is one of the shining points of this movie. I've got like pages of notes of just silly things that I was like, what the F is going on? But
All right.
I don't know, when you pick it apart, I did like watching Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but
Okay.
he only has arguably one real Spider-Man moment in the movie, and I'll leave it up to you guys, or maybe we'll get to it, what exactly that moment is. But I'm interested to hear, Rob, you freshly rewatched this. You really wanted to go back and watch these movies, despite my reluctance to do so.
Yeah, like kicking and screaming, like
It
having
was
having
this
a
was an endeavor.
4-year-old
This was
have cheese melts in the middle of the.
what's the runtime? The runtime on this movie is at least 2:15 or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
it's about that. Yeah.
And about half of it is retelling the Spider-Man origin again. I think that was one of my biggest problems back in the day.
Mhm.
There's about an hour of redoing his origin, which you just saw a trilogy that featured a great version of his origin. So it's kind of like, why don't you guys move on? And I can nitpick about that, but I want to hear like how you thought of it overall. And we'll get into what everybody thinks. And yeah, a lot of people disagree with me, which is fine. You know, Louis calling me a hater.
We
Just
talked.
saying I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, we talked about last week, John. We talked about the Raimi trilogy. We talked about how bright and poppy and colorful it looked. This was diametrically different. This was very dark. It was very gritty at times. We had a nighttime Spider-Man, right? You know, he's out in the nighttime, you know, trying to stop bad guys and find, you know, the guy who killed his Uncle Ben. You're right. We didn't need another retelling of the origin story, especially because we weren't that far off. I mean, the first Spider-Man movie came out in 2002, so it was 10 years, but everybody knows it. It's just like, we don't need a retelling of the Batman origin story. You know it. It's part of your pop culture lexicon. Okay, but fine. Every Spider-Man movie is somebody's first Spider-Man movie, so sure, I guess, excuse that. I actually liked Andrew Garfield in the role. I did agree with you. Like, it's a lot. The origin story, like the build up to that stuff is a lot. There's a lot in there, but it's because they were trying to build this other mystery surrounding everything. Like, they were really trying to go for you know, a huge hidden story, like this massive. They're building a foundation, and we'll talk about what it later when we get into Spider-Man 2. But they're building a foundation for future movies, for future plot points. And it might have been a bit too much. This is a Spider-Man that I think they had to be, you know, complete polar opposite of what Sam Raimi did, even down to the suit, the weird spandex looking suit with the colors and the Ray-Ban sunglasses. I mean, they went as far away from the typical Spider-Man costume than we were accustomed to or used to seeing, right?
I like this, like the suit overall. I remember it being nicer, but maybe because, you know, CGI is kind of starting to date itself in this movie. You can kind of see it's not as good as like the current stuff. But yeah, the suit I'm okay with. Yeah, you're right. Garfield is pretty good. His interaction with Emma Stone, but yeah,
well,
go
their
on.
chemistry was great, right? Like, their
Yeah.
chemistry was good. And to be honest with you, I actually really liked the interaction with his uncle, right? With Martin Sheen. I thought Sally Field did a great job as Aunt May.
Yeah.
Because she had that, you know, she had that look of I actually bought her concern, right? Like, I bought the fact that she was pulling double shifts and she was stressed out trying to support her nephew, you know, widowed, probably like no pension. Like, I bought it from her. But yeah, the movie has its issues. Listen, I would be very honest with you. I have a very tough time looking at this. Like, if somebody says, "Oh, throw in a Spider-Man movie," this would probably be not the one I would pop into my head first. It's just not. I feel like it's like an Elseworlds Spider-Man. That's the best way for me to summarize.
No, I think you're correct. Yeah, they went with this whole overarching plot, which I think was touched on in the comics. The whole his parents were spies, all this kind of stuff. I don't know if it's been retconned since then. It's not 100% clear in my head right now. I don't know if Andre's still in the comments. Maybe he can let us know. but I didn't mind that plot change. I'm okay with that. The cast, like you said, overall the cast is great and they interact together really well. Um, uh, Uncle Ben and Martin Sheen, right? He
Yep.
did he did a really good job. I don't get why they did the whole dance around with great power comes great responsibility. I don't know if that's not a cool line for the kids nowadays, and it had to be something about moral obligation. But they did a really good job with kind of like showing that like he wasn't directly like punishing Peter. He was more like disappointed,
Yeah.
which hurt
That's
Peter
worse.
more. And yeah,
Yeah.
and kind of like the lectures he had to give Parker in the voice message that he just happens to leave on Peter's phone is really
Yeah.
good. But I do question like were you okay with the new way that Uncle Ben dies? Um, and Peter, like that guy in the convenience store. I don't know if you remember all the details. That guy was a huge dick. Peter was short a
Yeah.
couple cents, and Peter wanted to borrow pennies from the
Yeah.
tray, and the guy was like,
Yeah.
gave him all this crap. And I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of us
The
would have
leave a
done the
penny,
same
take a
thing.
penny.
Yeah, in this situation.
Yeah. Yep. No, I was okay. You know what? I was okay with some of the like how Uncle Ben was portrayed in this because I feel like in the comics that I remember in the movies that we saw, he was always um he was the best of Peter's memory of his uncle.
Mhm.
He was always the good guy, like in the first movie, he goes, when Peter's like, "Don't start without me," and he's like, "And don't start with me," or whatever. Like it was just he's like he was never upset or angry. Whereas, like I felt Martin Sheen, like you said, he showed his disappointment. He got angry. You could tell he was frustrated. He's a late 60-year-old individual who's raising a teenager. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
not an easy task. Like you've done your time or whatever you didn't or whatever the game to be. It's not easy to be doing that at that age. And you could just see it wore on him, and it felt more real. So I think that coincided with how he was taken out in the movie, and it felt organic, and so I was okay with that, right? Like I was more upset about the way that he died like that than I did with any other portrayal that we've seen thus far.
Okay, so it hit you hard. I felt like it was a little bit just silly that Peter gets punished so hard for that guy was such a dick to him. So I feel like it's not as selfish a move that he made as his original origin, but that's not a big deal. But yeah, Martin Sheen trying to stop. He could have just let that guy run past as well too. But I guess you don't want a maniac with a gun running around. Do you think that the point I mentioned at one point where Andrew Garfield feels like the actual comic book Spider-Man? Do you know what that point is?
Is that the point where the guy we talk about the knife? He's like, no, you got my.
That's like snarky, trolly Spider-Man, which is great.
Okay, that's funny. The one. Yeah. That's the
my weakness, tiny knives.
Yeah.
And then he likes to rapid fire these webs, which is really funny. I don't know. I didn't. It didn't appeal to me as much, but they do get into some of the CG does still look good. The point that I'm talking about is when he's saving the kid on the bridge from the burning car, and he's like,
he pulls his mask
off. He pulls his mask off. And he's like, put on my mask. It'll make you strong and all that. That was like, I think that was one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I could totally see the Spider-Man that I knew doing that. But I don't know what it is about this movie. I think it's an hour redoing the origin. We get like 3 or 4 scenes of him figuring out his powers. We get a subway fight. We get him skateboarding around. We get him playing basketball. Like how come they needed so many of these scenes to establish Spider-Man?
But then if you juxtapose that, which is by the way the second time I've used this word in this show tonight, with the first Raimi movie. Do you feel that the first one, like the Tobey Maguire one, flies through everything, whereas this one is actually showing a progression? Like they are vastly different. Not only in their tone, their look.
The feel wise, yeah. The Raimi one has definitely got a little bit more the comical, like silly things going on. So I can see why some people I think Amazing would be easier to show to a younger audience for sure. like 100% for sure. Yeah.
Let me ask you about the costume though, because there's a lot of people in this that actually I've been looking at the chat while I've been chatting who actually really like this Spider-Man suit. I think Gore was the last person I saw that mentioned it. What are your thoughts on this suit?
I in my memory, I like this suit a lot more. On the screen, it didn't look as like, especially the eye parts.
Yeah.
Didn't look as good as I remembered them to look. But overall, I think this suit is not one of my problems with this movie.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to jump to. Do you want to jump to this guy? Like,
where did you go, John?
Like, why does he look like this? Like, who in the CG process decided we're gonna make him look like a humanoid and nothing like a lizard? I kind of figured it out. He looks kind of like this guy. I don't know if you're gonna recognize this guy, Rob.
Hey, isn't that Cobra Commander when he
it is Cobra Commander from the G.I. Joe movie.
The Joe movie.
Yeah. I was once a man.
Yeah. This is ridiculous. That's a very good.
That really hurts. That really hurts
cut.
A lot of the action, because when you see them fighting, Lizard looks absolutely terrible in this. But I guess
really, you were really irritated by the whole thing.
Yeah. Lizard was really bad, and then the whole he starts talking to himself. It's very Green Goblin-ish. So they kind of take that. Yeah. Even towards the end, they kind of take, like, was Iron Man 1 out before this? Because they basically kind of put Gwen in Pepper Potts type role where she's got to go back.
Safe life, Scott.
Yeah.
Sorry. Iron Man 1 was in 2008. This is 2012. So yeah, it's a 4-year difference.
Yeah, it's almost, you could kind of tell that they were trying to copy Marvel's formula, but they didn't quite get it. But yeah, I don't know. You tell me why you like this movie so much. Anyone in the comments, what you guys really like?
Yeah, let us know in the comments why you like this one. We're going to jump on to Spider-Man 2 in a minute. So the only thing I did want to say, I felt like some of this was forced. The fact that Gwen Stacy was doing the internship at Osborn,
that happened to employ his parents.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It happened to employ his parents, the genome that, Kurt Connors was working on, like this whole entire conspiracy. Like, I felt that there was, and I could be wrong, but I think that the whole notion of Spider-Man, if you are going to redo his origin and you want to tell a tale of Spider-Man coming into his own, you don't need to have all these multiple layers of conspiracy theories built into it. You can go as far back. You can go down to like another 2005 movie, Batman Begins. They redid the Batman idea, the Batman origin, his first thing. They didn't layer it down with a whole bunch of different like subplots and conspiracy theories to weave into it to create a bigger tapestry. They just told the story and they rested on the laurels of the origin story, whether you want it or not. And a lot of people quite enjoy Batman Begins. So that's my point of saying, is that I felt like shoehorning Gwen Stacy into Osborn Corporation and having the stuff with the parents and Peter's dad being the genetic testing on the spiders, and like I just felt it was just a lot. But that all said, I did have a lot of fun with this movie. So even though I said earlier in the show, if people said, "Oh, you want to throw a Spider-Man movie on," this wouldn't be the one that would immediately come to mind. I would still probably watch this one. I would watch this one over definitely over Spider-Man 3, and maybe even Spider-Man 1. To be honest with you, I know that you like that one more than number 2, but I thought this was fun. The costume kind of irritates me a little bit because it is. I feel like I've seen it on Speed Skaters, right? And they make the joke about that. But overall, I thought it was great. I thought that the CG wasn't terrible. I thought that the web swinging was all right. I like the idea of him being in the sewer, right? Like putting all those webs out and then listening for the vibration. I thought that was pretty cool. And I'm always a fan of Dennis Leary showing up on stuff. I'm not really sure if he mattered, but he was
underutilized. Cool. Yeah, and I feel like the death wasn't really earned. It was just kind of, we're just gonna kill this guy now. Yeah, and then Peter, you got to make this promise, which is like what a dumb promise to make, and then ditch out on the funeral and everything like that. Like Jesus.
The only other thing is that is another we have another situation where there's a villain that's trying to spread a deadly disease and make everybody into lizards.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
just felt like if you
His
are
plan was funny. I don't know if you remember this episode of the Justice League where Gorilla Grodd's like trying to it's the Justice League enemy. Gorilla Grodd's got this plan, nobody knows what it is, and when the plan goes off, everyone turns into gorillas. And Lex
right.
Luthor goes, "Why am I not surprised?"
Yeah.
and you're just like, "This was your plan."
Yeah, I thought like again, you're dealing, and this is where it got me a little bit. I got a bit befuddled by this movie. Is that you are trying to tell a more grounded story, you're taking a street level hero, you're making it more dark and gritty, and yet you're putting him, and you have him with the lizard. Okay, fine. Battling the lizard in and of itself could have been good, but then why do we have to have this really overarching
Yeah.
bad guy plan, this third act where you have to stop this special chemical? It's attached to a rocket that's attached to the satellite to shoot it up into the atmosphere and rain down. Like it was very convoluted, and I don't think it had to be. I think you could have done Iron Man 1, Batman Begins. You could have just told the story and rested on the laurels without having this Michael Bay sized ending. I just didn't think you needed it.
Yeah. Were you okay with the crane scene? They kind of go
yeah, that was a little, it was,
it kind of both
cheesy.
gives you the feels, but it also is extremely cheesy.
Yeah,
So
it gives you the feels, but then some of those feels are like, it was good to see C. Thomas Howell, show up and pilot one of those cranes. But I did think that was a little bit too much, but I don't know, whatever, man. You know what? Overall, I enjoyed it. John, out of a score of 10, what would you rate The Amazing Spider-Man?
I think this is going to be the last time I'm ever going to watch it. So based on that, I have to give it, I want to give it some credit because Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. But imagine if they were given good, like better material and a better story to work with. Maybe even something more, I hate to say more traditional Spider-Man. This felt like it felt like if they One Tree Hilled or Dawson's Creek did kind of if they CW'd it up. So like I think if they were given even better material, this would have been amazing. Like I think it amazing. It should have been it would have been the title instead of the terrible Spider-Man. But I see what people do like in it, but I would give it like a 6 out of 10.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm between a 6.5 and a 7. Yeah, fair enough. Andre I'm dead to him. He feels Spider-Man 1 is superior. Yeah, no. Just to clarify, and we said this last week, I think I enjoyed Spider-Man 2 more than Spider-Man 1. Out of that Raimi trilogy, I definitely enjoyed number 2 a lot more. John is a big fan of number 1.
I think number 1 is a good representation of Spider-Man, but it does have its cheesy or old. It has an older feel to it because with the crazy sound effects and stuff like that. But yeah.
So 2 years later, John, after this movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2 drops on May 2nd, 2014, once again directed by Webb. The budget increased slightly to a reported high of $293 million, but dipped worldwide with $709. So it's funny. They added $50 million to the budget, and then they lost $50 million on the box office. So I guess that was a weird gamble. Sequel saw addition of Jamie
They
Foxx.
paid for the upgrades and didn't get the return.
That's right.
Investment.
A sequel saw the addition of Jamie Foxx as Max Dillon, a.k.a. Electro, and Paul Giamatti in a quick double cameo as Alexei Sistevich, a.k.a. the Rhino. We also see Dean DeHaan as Harry Osborn. Critical and audience reviews really took a nosedive, John, from the first movie, with 52% and 64% respectively of critics and audience. The movie is deemed rotten. The movie attempts to set up the Sinister Six, and in fact, a spin-off was planned. Now, John, get this. So you know what? I'll tell you the fun fact about this at the end of this one because we'll talk about what could have been. So Amazing Spider-Man 2. What are your thoughts, bud?
I'm surprised that it's got such a critical discrepancy with the first one. because I feel like it had like a lot of the same atmosphere, but I guess maybe it's because they're cramming in so much. They were trying to build like this. They're basically trying to build up to what they're going to do now with this new Spider-Man movie, but they didn't. I feel like they didn't really have the groundwork in. They already did too much with the first movie, and now they're just trying to lump on more. And man, did they do my guy Jamie Foxx dirty? Andre mentioned it earlier. Like who like how many black guys have like the weird comb over and like and we're not even bringing up the fact that they put a weird gap in Jamie Foxx's teeth and then made it close itself.
The David Letterman teeth.
like I really don't understand that. Like if someone can explain to me why that is either a power of eels,
well,
or
I think what happened. Here's my, and I'll quickly. I think this is my theory: is that he rebuilt himself, and I think his vision of himself, despite the blue glow and the blue, but I think he was also broader. He was more muscular. I think when he rebuilt himself, he envisioned him looking like a certain way. When you wake up in the morning, you think, "Oh, I probably look pretty good." You look in the mirror, you're like, "Oh, geez, what the hell was that?" I think that's in his head. He probably never even realized he had it wasn't something. I think he made the best version of himself.
That's such an obscure. Like I hear what you're saying, but that's so obscure. They could have done it with anything else. He could have been, the fixing his hair could have been an easier way to do it. Gaining the muscles definitely would have been an easier way. Like they did it in Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire, like looking in the mirror, he's got all these muscles all of a sudden. Like there's so many other, like it's just such an odd thing to do. But I think it's like, I don't know what it is. Like look at the cast of villains. So we have like this Jamie Foxx, like that's atrocious.
From a comic perspective, did they ever change? I mean, we're always used to Electro being in the green yellow with the star mask, which has always been a really weird thing, because I think that's just a power up from
I feel
Mario.
Like they have changed it up. He did lose the star on his face, I think, and went with just like a bald head look and stuff like that. I don't remember. Electro's never has and never will be anyone's favorite character. And I challenge to debate you if you actually have Electro as your favorite character. But like like look at like some of I don't know who came up with this. Like I don't know, like Paul Giamatti, it was a funny look for him with the tattoo around his head and stuff like that.
Right, the barbed wire tattoo around his head.
But you weren't kidding. They were laying a lot of groundwork to get to
building a universe, like
a Sinister Six. They were 100% going for some type of Sinister Six.
Well, and we saw it, right? We saw it later on. You saw the vulture wings in the, when he was walking through the sub basement. You saw the vulture wings and everything else. Okay, so this movie though opens up with voiceover by Andrew Garfield, and then you hear a fluttering. Right, what is that? A bird? Is that wings? Is that Superman's cape? And you see the Spider-Man symbol, and it pulls back, and it's Spider-Man free falling from, I'm assuming, on top of a building. And the first thing you notice, John, is two things. One, this movie is hella a lot brighter and poppier. Like it was as if it was shot in 4K comparative to the first movie that was shot in Technicolor. and then on top of that is the costume is radically different than what we left with ASM 1. Many would argue a more comic accurate costume with the new eyes and everything else. And then he's stopping essentially a runaway vehicle, right? With deadly chemicals in the back, John, bouncing around, which is I guess a plot that the Rhino, before he becomes a Rhino, is involved with. So 10 minutes into this movie, I mean, his whole notion is that he's late getting to his own graduation ceremony. But what were your thoughts? Like, you're 10 minutes into this, you've just kind of, 2 years ago, you've watched Amazing Spider-Man 1. Are you happy with this transition, or are you like, wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know that this movie, like,
it's getting kids.
Yeah, sorry, these kids still. I gotta get these kids out of here. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay, you keep going. So we have to deal with that, and those in the comments definitely let us know. Are you happy with the direction that this movie took? Because it is vastly different than what we got in Amazing Spider-Man 1. They cranked up the colors, they tuned it up. You know, there are positives in this movie, though, that I think we need to address. And some of those being, man, those fight scenes, like those scenes of Spidey swinging through New York, especially his fight scene with Electro towards the end, is fantastic looking. Like him swinging through and jumping in between
The
the
CG was a level
Transformers
up.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think that's where
Was
the extra money went.
Well, it looked unbelievable, right? Like that looked really cool, and it's probably one of the better versions of seeing Spider-Man swinging through and battling. But it was loud. I mean, the bass, like everything, like the music was in there. I mean, even the really heavy bass and keyboard riffs for Electro, right?
He was playing a tune when he was jumping through
That's right.
through the things. Did he set up beforehand and do a sound check and figure out this tower makes this noise, this tower makes that noise?
So what do you think of Garfield's portrayal? Does it feel like it's an organic continuation? Do you feel like things are rushed? What are your thoughts, John? Because you're just not, as much as I've been teasing you before, you're not a fan of this movie.
Yeah, like I feel like it's more of the overall plot. Like I think Andre mentions earlier, it's Emma, Garfield, and even some of the other characters that actually work. Yeah, that actually work. So I'm actually okay with him, and I'm okay with him actually playing a different Peter Parker than what we're used to. So don't get me wrong, I'm fine with that. I think it's just the overall package and kind of script and plot line that they were given to deal with. And so it's almost like the Spider-Man, like all the stuff they threw at Spider-Man 3, and it's like they started doing that to this, like right in the last half of the first movie almost. So the second movie like almost didn't have a chance. They just start throwing all this stuff in. I'm surprised we didn't see more villains than these ones, right?
Well, it's so funny that you mentioned Spider-Man 3 because I totally got that feeling. I felt like they were really throwing everything but the kitchen sink into this movie. I didn't understand the need to have the Green Goblin like that, the way, having like, I think Dean DeHaan is a good actor. I mean, watching him in Chronicle is creepy as all hell, but he's not a guy that could play Harry Osborn, right?
No, yeah,
like
I'll agree with that.
This is the Smiths version of Harry Osborn, right? Like, it's definitely not. He's unfortunately he's the wrong body type. It's the wrong. It was a different interpretation of Harry Osborn. And it just was not one that landed at all. It was horrible. And the Green Goblin was atrocious. Like he looked like a troll, like the Trolls World Tour if one of them went bad. You put him on the bottom of your pencil, John, you shook him up, and that's what you would have from the 80s, man.
I saw a clip and before I fired it up, and I was like, wait, is that actually in the movie? And I'm like, yeah, no, they went with that direction. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm gonna go through the comments here. Steve said people say it was the Ultimate Universe look. Yeah, maybe. I don't listen. Okay, so with respect to the costume, I actually thought it looked all right. I don't hate this movie as much as others do. I know that Andre obviously deems it a disaster. I think it's not good at all. But I don't hate it. There is, much like Halley's Comet, there are moments like that come by every once in a while in 7 years where you could actually, if the sun and the moon and all the stars align and that comet's racing towards a clear sky, you could probably watch this movie and find something to enjoy out of it. But it's definitely not one that you would put on repeat viewing on a yearly basis. John, does this actually, I'll ask a first question. The foundation that they're building upon, does it crush the movie? Does this more intricate backstory of Peter Parker's parents as now they are spies, and everything else? Is it wholly different? I
don't think that's the main problem with this movie. The main problem with this movie is they're trying to crank out this Sinister Six without actually earning it. So I feel like I'm okay with the whole spy subplot. It is they do go really over the top with it.
But if they made Electro different, if they changed him up a little bit, instead of looking like Dr. Manhattan, because that's what that one scene when he builds
or Mr.
himself,
Freeze,
right? Yeah. If it what are you? We can't put it all on the look of Electro, right?
No.
So
yeah, no, I'm not. It's not even design. It's just the way they were trying to throw it all together, and then the whole Rhino thing. Like they're I don't know if you would call it trying too hard to get to this point. I remember when I originally watched this movie, really waiting for something to happen, and then they do that. Is the Rhino at the end of the movie or at the end credits? I don't remember. Yeah, and you're like, okay, let's go. This movie's gonna get rolling now, and then that's the end. Yeah, so it's like I feel like where they were trying to get to, this was like really all filler almost.
So one moment though I did think that was pretty cool, and I don't know, Andre says I'm wrong again, but I mean I feel like Andre and my wife may be texting back and forth because it's generally the things that she says. The one cool thing I did like about this though is when his webs got electrified, because now we've moved away from the organic shooters. He's using the web shooter, and it explodes, and you see it just like pop, right? I thought it was pretty cool him trying to to quote Matt Damon in The Martian. He's trying to science the shit out of it and try to figure out how to make the webs survive without being electrocuted. What were your thoughts on that? Because I actually quite like those sequences.
I actually quite enjoyed the organic web shooters. Not organic. They went back to the classic. So yeah, he did seem smarter. Getting choked out by this little one. He did seem way smarter in these movies, and yeah, was trying to be more, I guess, scientific and solving problems. Sorry, yeah, I don't know. I can't, like, I want to like this movie, but I can't. Like,
okay, so
like, I know some people like you guys in the comments, like, you liked the second one as much as the first one, or did you feel that it fell off? Like,
I feel a lot of people
at least give the first one some more merit, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what about the death of Gwen Stacy? Then did you feel that it earned it? Do you feel like it was done way too soon? Like, I to be honest with you, like when that happened, you know, it was foretold in the commercials and the trailers that we saw, but I honestly thought, you know, that would have been something that you would have seen in a third movie. So were you surprised that they
I think they didn't lay the groundwork enough. They did a bunch of jump scares where you thought she was going to die.
Yeah.
But she didn't. And then they kind of like do this at the end, and it's not really of like, if you go back and read the movie, there's more of a consequence to why this happened to her. So, okay.
All right. So overall, I'm getting the sense that most people in the comments just don't like Amazing Spider-Man 2. John, is this movie better than Spider-Man 3?
No, I think this is worse than Spider-Man. At least Spider-Man 3 you can laugh at.
Okay. I mean, I know that Andrea's going to beat me on this one and berate me, but I actually think that this might be better than Spider-Man 3. Only in so much as I don't have to deal with the emo Peter Parker dancing around looking like an
That's
idiot.
the funniest part of 3.
I can't handle it. No, I can't handle it. Okay, I got some funny things for you, John. So obviously, this was, as we set up, was setting up the Sinister.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, should this have got a third movie?
Well, so funny you asked, John.
Strong, yeah.
Because Sony had announced that Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be released on June 10th, 2016, followed by Amazing Spider-Man 4, which would have dropped 2 years later on May the 4th, 2018. But the poor box office and critical reception, and including news out of the Sony hack. John, remember the Sony hack when all those emails got remember that?
Everything got leaked, yeah.
Right. So there was an email from that was in 2014, but there was an email out of from this kind of spun out of this franchise in which there were talks that Gwen Stacy was going to return in Amazing Spider-Man 4, John. She's going to come back from the dead as Carnage. Because of that, Marvel...
that's confirmed. I think they had the subplot was supposed to be that the whole Stacy family comes back or something like that.
Yeah, so
right.
the Marvel was fed up and they reached out to Sony and they offered a hand with Spidey, while obviously serving their own interests in with the MCU. So obviously this universe was never completed. We would, never finish. Would you have liked, though, John, to have seen an Amazing Spider-Man 3? Or do you think it would have just crumbled under the weight of its own insanity?
I think for sure, like if it's up for debate whether this movie is worse than Spider-Man 3, I think it would have. If they continued along this path, I feel like it definitely would have been worse. I don't think they could have brought it back, but maybe I'm wrong. Like they didn't they set up everyone else too, Craven and all this kind of stuff. Like
I don't know if they had set that up. I do agree with Gordon though. The CG in this is way I felt like this was a way better Spider-Man than what we've had.
Yeah. This action was closer to like the video game now, right?
Yeah. Way closer to that Insomniac Spider-Man game, right? So I actually really liked that is at least one scene. Like if you were to pull out a scene of this movie that you say I'm going to watch this, that scene of him fighting Electro in the yard, like that is just looks gorgeous, right? Yeah.
I don't know if I quite go as far as gorgeous, but yeah.
Look really good, man.
I'm never gonna watch this again.
Yeah, you're done with the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
I think like the deaths were real cheap to me, like cheap shots. I felt like they were cheap shots. Like they weren't quite like you said earlier, they weren't earned. Like the death of Gwen Stacy, it was a shocker. It was expected, but it didn't really serve any purpose in the movie other than a sucker punch. But yeah, if she returned as Carnage, oh man,
that'd be a hot mess. And are you happy though that with the inclusion of Andrew Garfield returning for this No Way Home? Would you want to see more Garfield? Yeah.
This is the rumor, so we're not giving out any spoilers per se. This is wild speculation. Nothing's confirmed, but rumors are rampant. Yeah, like I said, overall, I didn't mind his. I think my issue is with the plot lines of all these movies. I think they had the casting, although Jamie Foxx in this is a little bit questionable, and the Paul Giamatti as Rhino is a little out there. He was really over the top.
Yeah.
But overall, the casting, I don't think the casting was an issue. So if he gets to return in the new movie, I think that'll be good. I think it'll be fun. That'll be the extent of my Amazing Spider-Man ever seeing that version again.
Fair enough. So that then leads us, John, to I guess next week, where we then jump into Tom Holland and his run on the Spider movies. Now I just did a quick search, John, and both Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home are on Netflix Canada. If you want to be a Puritan, you can watch Civil War, which is the first debut of the MCU Spider-Man, is on Disney Plus. John, has it been a while since you've revisited these movies?
The first one is called Homecoming?
Yes.
Yeah. That one I've seen a handful of times actually.
Okay.
But the second one with Jake Gyllenhaal, I've only seen once in theaters.
Oh wow!
Okay. So I never went back to rewatch it. I do remember liking it in the theaters, and I think Andre does shout out like he's not a fan of the new Spider-Man, but is Amazing Spider-Man better than Homecoming? I quite like the yeah. I do quite like. I think I quite like the Tom Holland stuff, and I like the most the interactions with those actors is really incredible. So I look forward to doing that. And shout outs to Gord. Yeah, we did mention both of those scenes that you talk about. And I would say, that the Garfield saving the son in the car, most Spider-Man moment from these two movies we just talked about. And the crane scene, definitely both cheesy and feel good. So it's kind of hard to go with the balance. Rob, do you think which is your best? Which do you think is your favorite of the three eras so far? Is it the new current stuff, or would you go all the way back to the Raimi stuff? I know you're more of a classic guy.
That's a good question. I like a lot of what Marvel's been doing in the MCU, but there are a lot of issues I have with it, especially that it is so tied to Iron Man. So we'll discuss those next week. that I would probably have
That's
to
a good point.
say.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to say the Raimi trilogy. I really think I don't want to get into it too much for next week. I feel like they're misusing Tom Holland's version of Spike. I think his version of Peter Parker is amazing. I just wish they weren't hamstringing him so much to Tony Stark. So and giving him a suit that's always full of mechanics and AI and all that shit. So we'll definitely talk about more of that next week, John. But right now I'd probably have to go with the Raimi trilogy is probably more my, I wish, I feel like there is a little bit out of each of these three universes, though, that if you took and put them all together, you'd probably get a really good Spider-Man movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one of those things. So the sum of its parts, right?
Yeah. Like I've never watched them all back to back like this, so maybe my opinion's gonna change. But I feel like I really do like the Tom Holland stuff. And yeah, shout out to Jesse. Jesse did like the Garfield as Spider-Man. Like I said,
So did
I don't mind the casting. I think they were just not given a good roadmap to work with for those movies. So let's see. So a little sneak preview. Andre says Tom Holland hasn't been Spider-Man at all. So the Ward of Tony Stark. Yeah, this is exactly what Rob is talking about. He's almost like Robin and Iron Man's Batman.
Yeah.
Who'd watch that movie?
So definitely tune in next week, true believers, as we revisit the Tom Holland Spider-Man era. And again, those two movies, Far From Home and Homecoming, are both on Netflix in Canada, and Civil War, I believe, is on Disney Plus. If you really wanted to watch his first scene as Spider-Man.
There's just one scene. Yeah, you can rewatch that scene.
Well, you can see the scene where he gets, he meets Tony Stark in the apartment building with Aunt May and all that stuff. So, so definitely, John, is anything else going on? Are you good? I mean, I'm sure that this upcoming week we'll be talking about Hawkeye episode 2.
I think for sure. Yeah.
Wednesday.
So if this is your first time joining us, we are live every Monday at 8:15 with the Sidekick Show that you're watching now. If you're watching this on the replay, definitely jump back in and catch us on a Monday and get in on this live chat, because it's always fun to interact with you guys. And then what do we have coming up? I think So What I'd Missed is coming back this Thursday. Hopefully my brother's back in town, and him and Rob can do all the work, and I'll just be along for Rob and Pat can do all the work, and I'll just be along for the ride. And Andre and Jesse are really killing it with the other content on TGIF Friday. So you can catch that live on Twitch, exclusively on Twitch at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays, and then it gets put on the replay on both the audio, the Sidekick Show audio feed, so the same feed that you get this show from, just because it's cheaper to host it there. And then you'll catch it on snippets and replays on YouTube. So definitely check that out, especially if you're missing some more of our comic-oriented content. They're doing a really good job running down all the new comics and all kinds of fun stuff that hits the store. And then, like Rob said, we're definitely going to be covering Hawkeye at some point. I don't know if we're going to try and get to it on Wednesday, maybe even, or maybe Thursday or Friday, the latest. Yeah. And then I don't know what's on deck after that. But if you are looking for Christmas gifts and or gifts for yourself in this holiday season, or if you're anticipating a potential snow day, drop by the shop. We got tons of fun stuff, and we will be here this weekend for you to drop in and say hi.
Hey, like we said at the beginning, John, 3 more shows until Christmas, so stretch it out. There's only 4 more weekends, so you definitely want to be getting your shopping in now. Do not wait. Go check out Heroes World up at Warden and Highway 7 in Markham, Ontario. Check them out on the Facebook page, on the website, heroesworldonline.ca, I believe.
Heroes World Online or heroesworld.ca, yeah.
Yes. And check it out there. And a lot of cool stuff, a lot of stuff coming out, and really looking forward to next week and hanging out with you, bud, and seeing how Tom Holland does.
Yeah. I think we'll see. Yeah, never watched them all back to back. So thank you everybody in the comments for joining us. Thank you for watching 2 Spider-Man movies in the span of a week, and the week before watching 3 Spider-Mans if you did them all. So what'll this bring us up to if you do the Tom Holland research along with Civil War? We're at
8.
Are we at 10? Are we at 10 yet?
It'd be at 8.
You'll be at 8. Okay,
You'll be
so
at 8.
could you
3,
could
6,
you
and
also
8.
watch Spider-Verse, the animated Spider-Verse? You could watch and get up to 9.
Yeah,
And
sure.
and then get your ticket.
I got my
it's not
ticket
sold
ready.
out, yeah,
I got
for
my
No
ticket
Way
ready.
Home,
You want to know why,
and
John?
bring it
Because
up
I
to
got
9.
mine. I got mine from Landmark Entertainment, not Cineplex. That's why, John.
This is not sponsored by Landmark Entertainment, but if you would like it to be, please
Landmark,
contact
please reach out.
Rob.
Yeah,
And maybe I'll make a trip out to I don't know where the hell Landmark Cinema is.
Whitby, buddy. One of the best theaters around. And with that, we will bid adieu.
Oh, this is true. We got to do the Matrix rewatch. Yeah,
We have 3 more shows, and next week we're doing Spider-Man, Tom Holland, which means we only have 2 more shows, John, before the holidays. So we'll try to get to it. Maybe you guys will have to do it in my absence. Yeah. Anyways, all right. I'm out. I'm tired. John and I drank this entire protein shake, and I got to tinkle.
your pre-workout. Shout outs to the cranberry ginger ale. If you guys haven't tried it, it's not for everybody.
It's disgusting. Yeah.
It's not for everybody. I've discovered that.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Good luck with your urinary tract infection.
Give it to me after you decide you don't like it.
All right.
So, thank you very much, everybody. We will see you again soon. Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys.
Check you guys on the next one. Peace out. Thank you, Mr. Rob.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks for showing up.